Hi, this is Alicia Bowling with Creative Laughter TV, Beyond Logic. And today our special guest is an intuitive life coach, a medical intuitive, and a best-selling author. And Deidre is also known as the Dr. Phil of the metaphysical world. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's just say she takes no prisoners. So today I'm very excited to introduce to you Ann Deidre. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Alicia. Great to be here.
Oh, great. So why don't you tell the audience first a little background on yourself? Like, a lot of people always wonder, were you born psychic? Did you get hit by lightning? Did someone crack you on the head with a baseball bat? Like, when did you actually become psychic? And how was that with you and your family?
I did not know I was psychic at all for most of my life. About 12 years ago, though, I had a very difficult situation in my personal life, and I thought it was a nervous breakdown, but I realize now it's something called the dark night of the soul. And so I really shut down on every level, but then I started meditating about a year into this thing. It was just a major depression, and I found a meditation technique, and my soul went into space, white light came through me, and these psychic powers unleashed, and I started writing books. And yeah, it was pretty crazy because most of my life, I didn't know I was psychic.
Well, was that a frightening kind of situation? Because I know one thing, if I would have got hit by something and white lights would have shoot, and I'd see cartoon characters or whatever, I'd be like, what, huh?
Yeah, no, it was really pretty profound. It was just this hugely mystical experience. I was literally in space, and I remember my soul. I grew up with a brother, and he used to watch Star Trek, and we were thinking, okay, whatever, where's the cooking shows? But literally, I was in space, and my soul was like, I'm in space, this is real. And I did hear this om sound, and it was a vortex of white light, and it literally came through me and I could feel it. And then when I came through the meditation, I literally, started writing books and all these amazing things that in school, nobody thought that, I was going to go on and do much. I was just a very average student. I was good at winning football pools and things like that. People thought I was lucky, but, no, all these things and it just took me out of this funk I was in, and it really was life-changing.
So winning the football pools, do you feel like spirit was helping you out there?
I do.
Do you feel like you're lucky?
Yes. I was at this job, and we would pick football teams every week. So I was actually learning the game and studying a little bit, and watching the games. And I'd have this sheet of paper. And prior to the games being on the weekend, I would pick all my teams. And it was probably about 50 guys working in this company. And some of us women in the office would play the pool. And then I noticed every Monday, I would be at the top of the list, winning the majority of the football pool money. And one Saturday, I picked every single college game right. There was 15 games that day. I picked every single one accurately.
Wow. Well, okay, that brings me to the next question, because I have people constantly saying to me, well, if they're psychic, why can't they win the lotto? It's so annoying. So how is it that spirit will help you win these pools, but yet a lot of psychics struggle and they can't get numbers? I know psychics are humans, so they have lessons like everybody else. So could that just be their lesson? They're not supposed to have this money. They're supposed to struggle and learn different ways?
Yeah, there's all kinds of different gifts for sure. I do get scratch tickets and play, and I get every now and then I hear my intuitive voice say, get that ticket. I just won $25 the other day. So I don't play all the time, but I hear it and I'm like, okay, I got it. And I go scratch it and I win. And people know me at the store. I come back every now and then I get a couple, and I always win every time I play. So I got to go for the bigger ones, I guess, next time. But yeah, everybody's got different intuitive gifts too. Alicia, you can see, you can hear, you can feel, you can know. So for people to really get in tune with that's the challenge, because our mind can get in the way. It can talk us out. You may hear intuitively, get that scratch ticket or play that number, but then the left brain will come and go, oh, well, what about so-and-so's birthday? And maybe I should do this. And you get into all that. And then, you're really cutting down on your ability to be psychic. I think that everybody has an intuitive ability, and to the way that you can develop it, each person has a capacity, I think, to develop it as far as they want to.
So when you finally realized that you have this gift, how was it coming out to your family? Was it the kind of same experience if you realized that you liked a girl or two boys liked a boy? Is it that kind of, oh my God, how am I going to tell my parents this? Is it that same type of sensation?
Yes. I feel like I came from a small town, typical family situation, whatever that means. But yeah, I went to prep school. I went to college. I studied. I had this track in my life that I was going on. And then when this happened, I started doing things called angel readings, and my very Catholic family thought it was so strange and odd and didn't want to talk about it. And then one time at Christmas time, we got together at my brother's house, and he was talking about a work situation. And I said, what's this person's name? And he told me the name. My mother was sitting there, and I started to tell him about this person and what was going on. And my mother's like, is that witchcraft? And I said, no, it's called the Holy Spirit. Remember that in church? I had to throw out my Bible quotes. Yeah, I had to throw my favorite is John 14:12. What I do, ye shall do and more. So my mother's like, I still don't like you doing that. My brother and my sister-in-law was around the corner. She was hearing this, and she goes, you just said exactly what that person is all about. How did you know that? And I said, well, I've been more intuitive than ever. And then they dropped the subject. But what happened was I kept doing it, and they could see how successful I was becoming. And then I was on television, on the local news, and my mother's phone was blowing up because they said, oh my gosh, that's Ann on TV. And then people started to bring me, like my family would give me like angel ornaments. And they just finally started to realize that this was just not some fluke and that it was actually something very powerful. And so it took a little while, but it really was really no denying it because everybody could see that I was like quite different than I had been.
Right. So how was that? So how was that when you date? Like when you start dating and then you start, are you sitting across the table and you're going, oh, this dick, he cheats all the time.
Yes, I do.
Pick up stuff like that?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I do.
So how long did it take you to actually get somebody normal?
Okay. Well, it's funny though, because when my gifts were opening up and I wasn't really realizing how open I was becoming, I would talk to my best friend like all the time on the phone, and I would always give her advice about her love life and, cry with her or whatever, go through stuff. And then I was really becoming a more professional psychic, and talking to her on the phone one day, I said something about her boyfriend, and she's like, I didn't tell you that. I'm like, I know, but I'm hearing it in my right ear. And then it was really, again, no denying it. I have my group of guides that are literally in my right ear, and they start to talk to me in paragraphs and, sentences, and I get these big downloads for people. So then my best friend started paying me for readings because I wasn't the same person to talk to like I was before, but I had an amazing information for them.
Oh, that's interesting. So you finally got married. So how was that? Did your husband find it odd that, you had these gifts? Was he nervous to do anything?
Well, I was.
Did he get God?
Oh my goodness. So I was married in my 20s before all this happened. And like I said, I was on track to have this certain kind of life. And then when we were together about 10 years married, and when this crisis happened and the white light came through me, I was obviously, and then I was channeling a book, and he was watching football one Sunday. I'm like, I'm going to go write a book. And he's like, okay. Like, it was crazy. I was like, I'm going to go write a book. And then I gave him the book to read, and he read it, and he goes, this is really good. I'm like, I know. I didn't know I was channeling Jesus, Buddha, and the Palladians, Michael, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Krishna, Joseph. I didn't know I was channeling these beings through this book. Everybody just thought, oh my gosh, Ann wrote a book and it's really good. And so it ended up that we realized that we were going in different directions, and we had counseling and stuff. It's like we had 2 little kids, and we tried to hold off as long as we could for a divorce. But when we got kids are a little older, we decided just it would be best. He goes, I'm not on the same path as you. We grew apart.
So what do your kids think about your gift and all that? Are they for it, against it, find it frightening?
No, I tried to get them as early as possible. Let's say they were about 9 and 7 when this experience happened, that I really started writing books and getting psychic and doing this work. And my aim was that I would work from home so that I could be home when they got home from school. And they knew that. I didn't like that I was working and then coming home and after them. So it was like my mission to do this full time so I could work from home. And I ended up being able to do that. So they've known that, and that's been wonderful. Even last year, my youngest just graduated from high school. I was home at 3:00. I wouldn't schedule clients so I could be home to take them to work or lacrosse practice. And and just to keep them open to this while letting them find their own way at the same time. So yeah, they're both really intuitive, and they're really open, and they're cool kids.
That's cool. I love that. So tell everybody, what exactly is an intuitive life coach? And then we'll get into a medical intuitive, which I find absolutely fascinating. But what does an intuitive life coach do?
As an intuitive life coach, I started about a decade ago with angel readings. And then I noticed that people were calling me week after week, wanting continuous readings. So then it really became angel coaching. And then doing that coaching with people, I started to get information about their energy centers, the chakras. Each person has these 7 main centers, root to crown. The medical intuitive world calls them energy centers. Hindu, it's called chakra. But guided by spirit, I was started to clear and activate these centers for people starting about a decade ago. And I've really been doing it almost every week of the year since. That's a big part of my work. And so why I call that intuitive life coaching is that these centers correspond to a different area of every person's life. So for instance, the root chakra has to do with stability and job stuff and family stuff. So as a psychic intuitive life coach, I can clear the energy that's been happening with them, actually clear it so it gets out of their system and that they can develop their natural gifts and abilities. I call it weeding out, the garden in their soul. And then I was just doing this with people all over the world year after year, and I started noticing their intuitive gifts, and then I started training people. So an intuitive life coach, I guide them really in every area of their life with a psychic ability.
I like that. That's really interesting. I know with the medical stuff, and I know there's such a fine line. You have to be so careful about everything you say. But the bottom line, I know for myself, I've been to doctor after doctor about things, and, they're very specific. They just do the blood work. Everything's fine. But when I started going to medical intuitives, they really got down to very specific things that really helped my body. I had like the worst digestive system. And then they were changing up all these things that I needed to take that my body was depleted from. And then my body started to function, and I stopped having stomach aches and stuff. And, when they give you a regimen where everybody should be taking, you need a multi, you need this, you need that. Not everybody's the same, correct?
Correct.
Everybody's body's functioning differently. So I personally feel a medical intuitive is very beneficial to anybody.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yes. And being an intuitive professionally, Spirit's been guiding me to take care of myself even more as part of my job, really. So I have to know what's going on. And then I did train in medical intuition, and it is not cookie cutter. One thing for one person does not mean it's right for someone else. It is a big mystery, and people don't realize that. But yes, I love being able to specialize in holistic health as well, because a lot of the stomach stuff, for instance, could be you're not digesting what's going on in the world. I mean, you turn on the news and so many things are happening that impacts the way we feel. So literally digestion can be not being able to digest a lot of things happening. So it's a mind, body, spirit. It's dealing with the emotional stuff that people are going through before it manifests into the physical stuff. It's absolutely related.
It's very funny that you said that, because I actually had a medical intuitive tell me to stop watching the news. She said it's affecting me. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like so fascinated, all the crazy crap going on in this world. Is like, how can you not watch it? The thing that's going on in the world, people are fascinated by all the shit going on. So they watch it, but yet it does affect them 100%. I do agree with that.
I have a way of working with energy so that I witness and observe it. And because I've got to keep my energy at a certain level vibrationally. So I've learned, and that's how I learned to work with people's energy fields, so they could be going through something absolutely what they consider terrible, but I've been able to hold a certain kind of energy so that I can observe it, if that makes sense. And that way, divine energy, kind of healing power can come through. But I felt like, I can't remember the last time I brought up that digestion. So I did feel like that might have been a message for you, Alicia. So
yes, that I'm sure that was. It's so funny. So like most people always ask about like love, obviously that's number one, right? Love, money, career. Those are the 3 main things. So like I have a lot of friends that are like, why can't I find love? Why doesn't anyone love me? It's just like, it's a constant thing. So is that something that could be a physical thing that we're holding on to on our body? that we're stopping it from coming into our life?
Definitely. Definitely. I think the next big movement is going to be self-love. And I don't think anybody wants to really look at that in a way, because we've been taught that somebody's going to come in and make everything better. But I've been noticing with myself and my clients that it's been really important to be happy now. And I do feel like that law of attraction works. It's an energy to be able to shift and to even be able to receive happiness, and not pick the same guy that does the same thing like Groundhog Day. You've got to shift into a different energy to attract something different.
So how is it that you keep your vibration up in order to attract things to yourself? What are some tips that you could give people to kind of raise their vibration?
Yeah, I actually did talk about that a lot in my latest book I wrote, an Intuition. I was channeling a lot of it. And so there's some things we can do. Absolutely, what we eat and surround ourselves with in this space does impact us. Realize that we are energy. Everything is energy, as Einstein said. So everything energetically you want to start to look at. Even if you go through your house and you've got some stuff around, like you may notice that you have different feelings about things. Some things may make you feel sad. I was at a nursing home once because I'm an aide, and I was doing some activities with my Alzheimer group, and I held a piece of jewelry from the basket. There was a big basket of jewelry, play dress up or whatever. And as I picked up this necklace, I started to feel so much pain in my heart. And I recognized that it was the energy left over from the person that had worn it. And then I picked up this rose quartz necklace, which is a natural stone. And my heart just lifted and felt light. And I went, oh my gosh, note to self, don't wear this necklace anywhere.
That's funny.
Yeah. So really pay attention to what makes you feel better. Feeling good is really the way to go for everything. What you surround yourself with, and then some things like essential oils and even Epsom salt, foot baths, just getting rid of the negativity, because you walk around like a lot of us walk around as sensitive sponges, especially if we're intuitive. So we are picking up everything. So I use tools, and I check in with my own energy. And if I notice something, I will forgive myself, or just little things like that. Having compassion instead of pity, little things like that are actually huge energy shifters.
That's such an interesting thing, especially when you move into an apartment or somebody else's space. I find like now I always have someone come in and clear it, because I had someone say to me that there's this heaviness, of course it's in the room I'm staying in, that they felt this sorrow and this weeping and everything. And when I moved into this new apartment, I absolutely love this apartment. It's beautiful, it's big, but I just didn't feel right in it. Like I wasn't sleeping well. My cat was howling all the time. He's never done that. So I had to call a psychic friend of mine. I'm like, what is going on? And they said there was an energy that was left in the walls, like a thumbprint of somebody who lived in this room, this particular room, because I don't feel it anywhere else in the house, of this woman who was a little bit, in her middle age, didn't really have love, wasn't happy with her career. And she felt all this sobbing. And I was like, oh my God. So I actually had to have somebody come in and do a clearing on it. And it was funny. And she asked me how I slept the next night. And I said, I slept through the night and the cat stopped howling. And I was like, that's weird.
Nice. That's great.
I guess, yeah, right. But I guess that's true. Energy is a very powerful thing, and people don't realize that. And I always tell people, be careful what you say, what comes out of your mouth. Like, I'm always going to be fat. I'm always going to be poor. Because I think the words are powerful. Don't you agree?
I do. I've caught myself, and I've started teaching to not say, I'm angry. No, you're not. You feel angry. Whatever you say, I am after, we're powerful creators. We can bring it into being. So feel stuff. Don't be it.
Okay, so let's gossip. So what do you think of this whole Weinstein thing?
Oh my gosh. Here we go with another situation where things are literally appearing that have been held back for decades, because we are moving into a new consciousness. It's more evident everywhere. So every time I see something like this happen in such a massive way, it's the hurricanes, the fires, the blow-ups, things are shifting and changing. And that means that this is, and I love the way that they're reporting this, that this is a precedent. This isn't just like, next week we've forgotten. This is actually a new movement. Women are getting to be, dare I say it, equals. Yeah. I started to
You
notice
think he's
it.
actually going to go down for all of this? Or is it going to be one of those things where, like Bill Cosby?
That one was big, and this one is not going to slow down. It's going to change the industry in a lot of ways, I feel. And I feel like women, I started to notice it in the Olympics. I remember when the news reporters were saying, oh, the women's team won more than any other time in history. I feel like we're going to have like a kind of a movement here for women empowerment. It's going to be, everywhere.
It's so funny when you watch those stories on the news and you think to yourself, Howard Stern was absolutely hysterical and Jimmy Kimmel is like, really, who wants to fuck that fat guy? Like, if this guy took you up in his room and he said, I'm going to take a shower, come on over. I mean, what woman would say, yeah, okay. It was so funny. But it's true. But these poor young girls, so desperate to be famous, and this older guy who's established, and for whatever reason, they're scared or they feel this is their only way to get in. It's really sad. I hope he goes down bad.
It's pretty sickening. I want to say, keeping my energy and being an observance and everything, just recognizing that for someone to feel like they have to, betray their own soul to get the power thing, that whole.
And the sad thing is a lot of these women are in their late 30s, 40s now, and you can still see the tears swelling up in their eyes and how it still affected them. So in a sense, it's a kind of a rape, something that never leaves your body and your mind. And that's the sad thing for these girls. Okay, so let's talk about some celebrity pop. People love celebrity gossip, and I love this stuff. So Angelina and Brad, you see stuff. They're back together. They're not back together. He's dating. She's pregnant. So what do you see happening with those two?
Nothing.
You think they're going to end up? Yeah, you don't see them together?
No. And that time is just done. What's the saying? Together for a reason, a season. I think what I'm getting is like they got what they needed out of each other. That's what I'm getting psychically. Like they came together, they were a bigger brand together, but they're not, that doesn't work anymore for them to, you know what I mean? It was more of almost a business arrangement is how I'm hearing it a little bit. They knew that each other would make each other look good, but now that no longer is the case. I feel like both of them are a little too, especially Angelina, she's much more practical about what works for her. And if it doesn't look good for her or her kids, forget it. And Brad is just too much of a liability. I don't know if he's cleaned up from all his stuff that he, rehab or whatever, but I get that he's more liability than an asset. Does that make sense? So it's more of a business thing that people realize.
Well, it seems like he's got his shit together, but who knows? Drinking and alcohol, that's a tough thing. It's addiction, just like sugar, and it's hard to get off. It's a constant fight, and they do have 6 children. So yeah,
that's what I'm getting. It's not like I had a cold. The recurring, the possibility for something recurring, I get, is what Angie is well aware of. So
yeah, and she's going on TV and being all polite, saying she misses Brad being around or this, but I don't think she does. I think that when a woman's that angry and goes to that extreme, there's no coming back from that. That's someone who's mad. So tell us about a difficult client or a difficult situation that was really hard for you. Some interesting story that, that would be very different.
I was on the psychic hotline back in 2010 and the calls.
Sure, that was interesting.
Yeah, the calls came in all day and I get this call and then I didn't work for them anymore. And then she was calling me for readings, and I remember she would send me money orders every week, and every week she would say, is my boyfriend is this guy going to ask me out? And so after my theory on free will, I said, well, if you scream in his face, no, but how, so I tried to work with her to energetically align and match and, become the magnet instead of the stalker, so.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, she called me like every week for almost like 6 months and just the same question. And I'm like, no,
Did he ever ask
he's
her
not
out?
going to ask you out. You're bothering him.
Oh, you're bothering.
I had to turn her away, actually. I had to say, we need to stop meeting like this. No.
Yeah. How do you feel about people who, don't believe in this, but yet they're constantly coming to you, asking you the same stuff all the time. What's with that?
Yeah, I think people are realizing there's been, a change in how people perceive this work. And so we can do majorly probabilities. They're, very good at probabilities. And I do a fair amount of prophecy. I get, what do you call it? The dreams. I get prophetic dreams. I see in advance things are going to happen. I definitely get that. It happened with my second relationship, to answer your question, but I was married twice, and I had my second husband, and I had a dream that we were just friends at the time. He was living in California, but I had a dream where he was in my house on the computer, and then it ended up, we did fall in love. He drove all the way across the country, moved in with me, and then I saw him one day on the computer. I'm like, I remember that dream where I saw you here. It was way before we were even, dating. So, so I try to help people to create from a place of vision. So my idea of predicting things is to allow it to happen, create it in your mind's eye first, and then use the law of attraction to bring it to you. So I actually can help people make things happen, if you will, by manifesting it, by creating it.
So yeah, I think that's a very important thing that you just said, because anybody can predict, and it can come true, it cannot come true, because like you said, there is free will. I think it's more important when you choose a psychic or anybody in the metaphysical world that you get someone who's not going to give you those answers that you're so dying to hear, but they give you tools that will help you manifest or get the things that you want.
Yes. One client, she came to me, no relationship, job she hated. We did a 4-week program. So I helped her create what I call a template. And something like, thank you, God, I now have. So I also can tell I can tell psychically what people's life purpose is a lot. So I knew that being a yoga teacher would be something she would really enjoy. So I have that ability to tell people, my clients, okay, you'd be good at this. So and she liked that idea. So I had her imagine that she was already a yoga teacher and she was already teaching, in a studio, had her live it in her head completely. And same thing with the relationship, and have the feeling and the sight in her mind's eye. And so I did this with her for 4 weeks. And then I was at an event. I think it was so this was maybe 8 years ago. And then 2 years ago, I was at an event and my kids are there helping me at a big expo. And I had a table and she came by and she showed me her ring. She's like, I'm married and I have a yoga studio. And she's at the point, go to Anne. She makes your dreams come true.
That's so cute. So do you foresee yourself getting married again?
I'm in a relationship, and it's about a year and a half, and it could possibly this could definitely turn into marriage. Although I said I would never get married again, actually never said I would never get married again.
Third time's a charm.
I don't know if I actually said it out loud. I thought it a few times.
And so what does he think of the whole metaphysical thing? And does he ask you for readings and help and advice on his business?
He's channeling now. I'm telling you, it's great. He started channeling. I have this ability to catalyze this in people. So he started doing some channeling. He's like, what did I just say? I'm like, you were channeling.
Oh, so he's into it.
Yep, he is. He does. He loves it. Yeah.
So does he ask you for readings and advice?
Yes. I mean, I can't help but do it. I have to do it, whether people want to know or not. I'm telling it like it is. When you date me, you're not gonna not have a clue. You're gonna know everything.
Oh, that's very funny. Well, it was such a pleasure talking to you. And if anyone would like to learn more about Anne or get a reading with Anne, go to her website, www.andeidre.com. And you can get all the information there. And, Anne will be on our podcast again. So we look forward to talking to you, with some more gossip and some more stuff that's going on, because we love our gossip. So thank you for joining us, Anne.
Thank you, Alicia. It's been a blast.
And thank you for joining our podcast. So if you'd like to know more about our podcast, go to www.beyondlogicpodcast.com. You can see our talent. You can see the dates and times when our talent will be on. So this is Alicia Bowling, and we'll see you next time. Bye.